So this video is, it's a compilation of this video. I know I'm going to attach a couple others to it from a night or two ago, a couple nights ago I think. Which I didn't know if I'd post or not, but I've decided I'm going to do it. To tell as much truth as possible. Let me illustrate in what might seem a abstract way, and is, but increasingly these days isn't. So this image right here, if we were studying ancient scripts, ancient glyphs, we might be perplexed. So there's 7-8 billion people in the world today, 6-7-8 billion people in the world today. Oh, I only got a minute and 20 seconds. Fuck. About 200-300 years ago, there weren't even a billion people in the world. Today, there are a billion people who understand that this image roughly implicates, like there are about 300 million people in the world who would see this image and say y equals mx plus b. The simplest algebraic, it's the simplest algebraic thing there is. Oh wait, no. Maybe I have a little longer. This is the simplest algebraic object there is, essentially. Y equals mx plus b, roughly. As a symbol, as a sigil, or whatever. It's a mathematical sigil. What's it mean? Descartes. What's it mean? So there's probably about 300 million people who would see this image at first glance, and that would be like one of the first things they thought. Y equals mx plus b. And there's probably about another 700 million who, after I just said that, would be like, oh yeah, and will always see it that way for the rest of their lives. Don't mind my eschewment here. That's maybe if I bend the page a little. Oh yeah, there we go. We can straighten it out. Yeah. When the line is curved, we can curve the topology. But 300 years ago, there weren't a billion people, or whatever. It's within that order of magnitude, 200-300, give or take. Now there's a billion people who could see this image and just think that instantly. Or actually, in this case, it wouldn't even have to be plus b. It could just be y equals mx. Or rather, in this image, I'm sorry, it doesn't even mean that. It just means y equals x. Now that ties into the whole debate about what's going on these days with genders and so on. It's like y equals x. Y equals x. That's one of the reasons why Latinx isn't the right term. Not to say that the whole Latino, Latina thing shouldn't be evolved. It's just that Latinx is the wrong term. Not because it doesn't have the right intention, but because X still implicates manliness. Even the whole thing, like, it's this male swimmer dude winning all this shit around the world, woman. But it's still, like, primarily dudes struggling and wriggling every which way to be the best. Anywhere. That part's dying, which is good. Y equals x. XX, XY. y equals x. But y is different from x. And when y equals x, we have something like this. Oh, I'm sorry. Something like this. But then when we have plus or minus y equals plus or minus x, or y equals plus or minus x, Coptic cross. But if we just revert back to the first image, right? A billion people around the world, because of education, and because of things that came hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years before. Because of all of that, there are a billion people in the world who either already, when they look at this image, or with just that y equals x. Oh, okay. A billion people, probably in the world, who could come to that within somewhere between a second and a minute. There were those who spread these things knowing this day would come. More people alive today have their heads wrapped around this than there were alive when this country, as we know it, was founded. And everything, acceleration, velocity, everything has just gone. So anyway, just a reminder of what we do now and what we say now and how it does or doesn't make sense. The way in which we all have things in our heart. Now, I got all kinds of shit. Most of what I say is shit. But, in the Bible it says, don't cast your pearls to swine. Well, unfortunately, my pearls are wrapped up in the rest of this fucking pig shit, okay? And my pearls don't come often. But when they come, they're the fucking prettiest, man. Just like you. When your pearls come, they're the prettiest, and thank God for those moments now, today, when we can preserve them, such that when we're gone, we hope and pray that all our shit is left beside, and that someone, much like us, finds our pearls. The shit our shit will be reconsumed, resupposed. But our pearls will remain for a while. And our diamonds will last for a very long time. Perhaps once in my life, perhaps you once in your life. Out of all this fucking pig shit. Wah, 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 wah. Every so often. Out of that pig shit. Because the pig ate a diamond. Boing! $1 trillion. We hope and pray someone finds that diamond, that pearl, that Hail Mary, 1 second left on the clock pass. Why do they call the Hail Mary the Hail Mary pass? Because you put everything into one play. One play. Unfortunately for me, I'm so stupid, I need to rely on a Hail Mary. Thank you for that. Most of us who cast Hail Marys in our life will fail, but some of us will succeed. And in our failing, the one comfort we can gain as we dive toward hell, now that we can record our Hail Marys, like it's even a brave loss, like that whole movie 300. That was a Hail Mary. They lost. They're dead. But people remembered martyrdom. Not that you should throw yourself necessarily into the gears, but you're already in the fucking gears. You're on the hamster wheel. For that matter, you might even just flat out be the hamster wheel. So, don't throw yourself on the gears, but watch your life. Make an assessment of what you can do. This is me pretending to give advice. I'm talking to myself. Because I've failed in every arena of my life, but I'm pulling back the tension on this catapult to launch my Hail Mary. I've put all my eggs in one basket. You know? And I don't know how much farther I have to go. Like, I'm blind pulling this, like, tension. I'm pulling this bow back, and I don't know how big the bow is, and I don't know how far it goes back until I get to the point when I let go. I put everything into that. That's just where the truth found me. God. Where the truth found me here in a place where that's my only option. I had many other dreams, and I still wisp. I wisp with all these dream fumes of, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. But I know I have all the things I want to see, I won't see. Most of the things I want to see, I won't see, but I'm laying the ground such that they may be. And maybe one of my arrows will hit their target, which is a love arrow to your heart. I barely know what love is at all. What little I know of love, I'm aiming for the future. I wish I was better at aiming love arrows now, today, with my brethren. I'm trying to do it, and the only tactic I have is humility. But mostly I'm not humble. Mostly I'm arrogant, angry, and trying to fit in, and like posing. But I try not to lie when I'm posing. But I try to be okay with things that I'm not okay with, which is a lot. But even among those who, you know, because we got to think, well, maybe this guy's thinking the same thing. I don't know. How do you feel that out? How do you feel it out with someone next to you who might also just be trying to fit in. You know, sometimes there's like 7 guys and like one guy is so loud and so opinionated and so like and just like running the show that like everybody just pretends to agree with that guy, the big bully or the big loudmouth or the big joker, and like then we all just like gallop along and agree. Well, in the meantime we actually disagree with almost everything that comes out of his fucking mouth. But we're all a little bit passive, a little bit humble, not so assured, and we spend a lot more time questioning than proclaiming, right? It's difficult to stand out and say, well, not so sure. Joey Joe Bob. So meanwhile, you think it's 6 against 1 because that one fucking shithead is controlling the conversation. Could be a chick too. Bitch. But like that one motherfucker is sitting out there fucking saying this, saying that. So loud, so proud, all day long, every motherfucking day. That the other 6, like, yeah. So now, because everybody's agreeing, but inside we're disagreeing, it's like, we think it's 6 against 1. We think everybody's against us. But actually, there's one of us, there's the one person we're against, and 5 other people are with us. And that's the state of like the introverted world, and that's why YouTube is like that's why YouTube is the best, the absolute best invention of all time. Because you can talk as yourself and say it like it is. And there no longer needs to be interpreters. There does, but like this is the first, we're creating chords through time. Literal, I'm speaking and that takes a short amount of time, but basically I have an instantaneous thought form in my head which I'm trying to talk about. It's like trying to talk about how to describe a globe. Well, the globe is like this. If you have a globe, no, I have a globe over there. It's just sitting there. It's just this one thing. Still, it is what it is. But describing that in time takes a little time. So I have this thought in my head, and it's just a snapshot of a thought in my head, and I'm trying to describe it. But because it's so long from the time I made this to the time you watch this, the line between our times is so short. Or rather, the line between our lines of time are so long. I'm speaking to the future, 300 years, 3,000 years. That is the business I am engaged in. And if you're saying, that's crazy, why the fuck would you do that? I invite you. God's playing the eternal game. And the eternal are the bookends on forever. Here's forever. Here's eternity. It's the same thing as this. It just so happens to be on either side of forever. God's playing a forever game. God's playing an eternity game. When you start playing a game, and this, I wouldn't be playing this particular game if I didn't have this particular phone. I'd be playing, because before these types of phones came out, I was playing a different game. But the game's been changing like a motherfucker. But I will say, So long as technology lasts, YouTube will be protected, almost above all else. I mean, nations will rise and fall, and YouTube will remain because it's the most precious. YouTube is, so far as we know and can agree upon, YouTube as the thing that the universe has produced that is the most valuable, that we can all agree upon, is like, it's us, but like YouTube, because that's where us goes in our fullest, such as we know. YouTube is the most valuable thing in creation at this moment. It won't always be that way, but it will be that way for a while. And when I'm talking while, what I'm saying is that when we start thinking in thousands of years and tens of thousands of years, morally, because there's the physical evolution, but there is a distinct and exact physics, biology, physical evolution of morality, which is supra physical, extra physical, physical. Yeah, that's a good place to stop. Oh yeah, and here's the thing from a couple days ago. It's kind of nasty, but if I don't show, right, we think naked means like they were naked before God, right? I'm obviously not going to show my ding dong on YouTube. This is pretty naked, right? Looking pretty funny in a lot of ways. The thing is, all this that you see that might look, I'm no Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, but like that's actually the good part. But anyway, I have to show ugliness, and this is just one that I caught. I thought it was interesting at the time. I was like, oh, I gotta get this, even though I was all fucked up, man. But you know, hey, that's part of life, and it's true, and it's where we go. Yeah, we're all worthy of the kingdom. If we're not willing to fight for it, are we? And part of the fight is to show ourselves in our disgrace and just say, yeah, this is me. And hope. That our brother says, I understand. Sometimes, me too, brother. In that spirit, here's a couple of things from a few days ago that I'm embarrassed and ashamed about, but which I humbly submit and I'm a little proud of, so forgive me for that, because I'm proud to overcome my... I'm glad or grateful. Different parts of me feel different ways about it, but like at the very least I can appreciate that I'm trying to show pieces of the best of me. You'll never see the best of me. Because fortunately there are still those moments where I don't say, ooh, I gotta get this on my phone. And I have these very beautiful best moments. Yeah, you'll never see the worst of me because of the same thing. When I'm in those moments, the phone's the last thing on my fucking mind. But I'll try to talk about them tactfully. Most of the time I fail. I'm just hoping to do it once, you know. I'm just going to keep swinging that bat, 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 until I hit it over the fucking green monster. And then hope someone finds that one. The right person. And I guess you could say that's a gift of faith. Trying to make up in intent. My intent is so much more beautiful, so greater than my artifice. My intent is so beautiful. I see it like this. Glowing heart, man. But then when I see my artifice, I see, yeah, a lot of poop with a few pearls and a few diamonds. So here's a little more poop for you. Maybe you'll find something there. Treasure. Funny enough, I just recorded and posted that video, and I'm having one of the worst bloody noses of my life. It just keeps bleeding. So, you know, my life is a complete waste, but if that was my last message, so be it. It won't stop bleeding. I used to always get bloody noses as a child, but I haven't for a long time. This is the first one really in many years, and it's the worst one. But I'm glad it's in these colors, and I'm glad it's today. And it's just a bloody nose. It's not like it's a bullet shot now. I got problems. There are physical things wrong with me, very wrong. But they're mostly of my own cause. So I can't complain. I can't ask God why. I know why. I can only pray and ask to God that the lessons I've learned in my wrongdoings help you even as I perish. There's nothing else to pray for. So it's not so bad, but it's an interesting symbol. It's still flowing. Fuck. Right. Yeah, you never know when the day you die is going to be, and for what reason and how it will manifest. My nose has never bled like this before. Thick, magenta, pungent blood. after I made my Mary video. Not good. I don't do coke, so it's not a coke nosebleed. But I do have other problems because I drink and because I smoke. But also just because I'm human, living, alive today, witnessing the murder in the world. Witnessing the harm I do to myself, but also witnessing the great beauty and the great love that defies the nature of this world and defies the nature of the cosmos. The supreme will to good that we assume of God and witness within ourselves. We always say that we witness within ourselves the butchery and the killing of the earth. We're the only things that preserve anything. We are the only things that preserve anything. We are us, humans, souls, under God, pursuing a godly purpose to love and preserve forever. That's the thing, it's just graphics. I don't know. It'll either go away or I'm done, but yeah, I guess maybe I don't have very long for this world, but even so, there were a couple times before I thought I was going down and I didn't go down. This is a pretty grim symptom. This is a pretty grim symptom. Mostly I care that my word gets out. I do also care about, like, what comes of me, what becomes of me. But I know that what becomes of me doesn't matter if it's divorced from what comes of we. So, I've had many days where my nose bled. I've had many days where strange things happened. As it so happens, I'm not hurting very much from this nosebleed. I'm hurting from other things, and maybe those things are related. So maybe this is the day I go down, or maybe this is just the way it happened. For reasons. I'm sorry, but that is some fucking... Whew. Seemed like it stopped coming out of me. Strangely, I feel a little better. God works in mysterious ways. My entire channel, all my work, all my speech, all this, it's not just a lie, but the confession of a lie. It's the truth in so much as I'm lying even when I try to tell the truth because I'm such a horrible liar. Just like the worst, you know. But because I'm confessing it, it's a very small truth. A very small truth. I'm a big fat fucking liar. I'm sorry. Having that said, here's what I got. Alright, so I just realized that, okay, so, I'm either going to put this at the beginning or the end of the video. I'll make up my mind after I'm done, but I just figured out what could be called a refutation of real, so-called real numbers, which are taken to be mathematical dogma, doctrine, sacrosanct, mathematical real numbers. So I guess you could say I'm creating a disputation of real numbers as we know them. Because if we have y equals x, oops, sorry. If we have y equals x as the basic algebraic function, alright, so I sectioned off the equation so it's not part of the pictogram. So we have our y and we have our x. This line is y equals x. So if we assume that the y axis is real in this sense, or I'm sorry, since I crossed it out, I'll have to reestablish it symbolically. If we assume that y is real mathematically, and if we assume that x is real mathematically, upon this same so-called, this is why Pascal succeeds where Descartes fails. Descartes and Pascal they're a proper opposition. They're a proper opposition. In the next several hundred years, that comparison will be drawn between Descartes and Pascal. And let me remind you, Pascal created the first calculator in historical Western history. That's a big deal. He was more, this is the beauty of Pascal. He created the first calculator, which made, when we think of merchants and mercantilism, we're just thinking, oh, they're just making money. No. It's the numeric depiction of the physical process of trade. That's true mercantilism. And if you can calculate faster, you can be more pragmatic more quickly. And if you're good and you want good intentions and you're pragmatic, practical, you do things, you want to see good done, if you have better ways to deal with numbers, you're even better off. So that was Descartes it's true, Descartes created this thing that made calculations and thinking about shapes and numbers much easier, he drew upon many people from many traditions, from many cultures, from many nations, and such as he informed. And not only with the past tense, still today. We more commonly associate algebra with Descartes in the West than we do with Al-Jabbar, a Muslim of the heyday of intellectual, mathematical, geometric Muslimism, which was actually a relatively short-lived phenomenon. And that's where the magic of Islam is. Besides the inception point, conception point. But, yeah, anyway, this is really easy. Because if we, y equals x, okay, let's start with the simplest, absolute fucking simplest, y equals x. If this is 1x and this is 1y, y equals x. 1 equals 1. So then what do we get? We get a square. And then what do we get? We get root 2. Well, root 2 is bigger than, and we could call this the, well, it's just y equals x. Y equals x. So x is to y as well, because we have root 2, y equals x. X is to y because 1 is to 1 as, this isn't quite right, but it's a way to start thinking about it because it seems strange. I'm actually, right, like this is actually a mathematical, like I know this is a fucking crazy, but like this is actually a mathematical refutation. I'm not saying it's a disproof, I'm not saying it's like a proof, but I'm saying it's like it's a heavy hardcore, like I'm pretty sure like the Oxford or the Cambridge like debate union society talks that they give, like I'm pretty sure they really couldn't even deal with this. Yeah, no, they could, if they could deal with it, they couldn't talk about it. One to one. Okay. So 1, alright, this is going to get good. 1 is to x is to y as root 2 is to y equals x. Oh, baby! I think I just... I'm a little bit joking, but like it's a serious... I'm being absolutely serious, like it's a question to a teacher. Like someone out there knows what I'm talking about. Many people know what I'm talking about. And like I don't know how many could answer it. And I doubt there are more than 3 who could answer it to me in a way that I understand. Which means they're not only a knower, but a teacher. As it so happens, I already met that teacher. Pretend I'm telling a story instead of writing a history. So, 1 is to x is to y as root 2 is to y equals x. No matter how full you make these lines, there will always be gaps here. I'm not afraid of Pythagoras' threat. That and worse will happen to me. I will die on the cross of the truth. Anyway, just being a little playful, super proud. Sorry, but I just gotta say it. But anyway, if you're into math, all I'm saying, like, dude, see, that's the thing. I've been focused on I've been focusing everything on the number one. I have a little bit of propensity, and I've been putting it all into the between 0 and 1 in any which way I can when I have the time, because there's other shit to deal with, you know. Abe Lincoln demonstrated all of Euclid's elements. He made the time for that. In between the moments when he was working on saving the fucking world. Now, I'm not saying that's what I'm doing, but that's what I'm saying. I've come to understand that's what I meant to model my life after. But I understand that not everybody in the world today can do that, because some people just need to hold shit together and like have birthday parties and like make all the nice things in the world that give us hope for tomorrow. Because what tomorrow holds in its beauty is so grand. It will come. It's just a matter of how many of us get there. Fuck the 144,000. That's Old Testament. Even though it's New Testament, man, so much of the New Testament is the Old Testament, which Jesus came and rose again to fucking burn off. At least that's how the story goes. The best story wins. Not just in the market. Yeah, anyway. If this line was full on every single infinite point, this line would have gaps regularly. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to. It's a good thing I kept going. Y equals 1 over x. Y equals x occupies the same plane that y equals 1 over x occupies. Now you can put a lot of n's in here, right? Because y equals 1 over x then gives you this curve. You know, but then you can put some n's and k's in there and you can carve the whole thing up. Just inverse curves, inverse curves, inverse curves, and linear lines, right? But these lines are not full. Or even if these lines are full, this line, because the equal and the inverse it doesn't meet up, it doesn't match up. If a real line exists, if real lines exist, even real areas are impossible. If a real area exists, a line would have to be hyperreal. Okay. So the hyperreal line, this is for mathematicians. The hyperreal line, the hypersaturated real line, is to the hypersaturated real line is to the real plane as the real line is to the rational plane. You get it? The lines are always, if saturation at all, in the infinitely abstract sense, is possible. If a real line is possible, the plane is already not real in the mathematical sense. So anyway, the possibility exists that there is one real point, and that's all I will concede to today. Oh yeah, of course, as always, there's just one more thing. What I didn't get to about Pascal and Descartes is that in so much as Pascal is the champion, Pascal is the Enlightenment, or the Pascal exists on either side of the Enlightenment, at least intellectually. And what Pascal preserves, which Descartes fails to preserve, Pascal on one side, in his invention of the first calculator, which was a utilitarian object, it was a clock. It was a clock that was atemporal, because it counted other things than time efficiently. For those who couldn't count well, he could count well. Pascal didn't create calculators for Pascal. Pascal could crunch those numbers like in his head forever. But Pascal recognized the importance of calculations upon calculations upon calculations. It's the same way that we search YouTube videos, even though we don't understand the algorithms that bring those videos to us. Now, some of the people making algorithms, yeah, they're just making algorithms, doing their job, this, that, whatever. But don't underestimate for a moment, for a second, for a minute, that there are those making algorithms who actually understand the theological, philosophical, cosmological reason as Pascal did. If we're going to fight this quote-unquote Cartesianism, which is an incredibly, Descartes was this incredibly inspired person. In the same way that God inspired Moses and God hardened Pharaoh's heart, God had his hands in both. Not every soul could be inspired as Moses, and not every soul could be hardened as Pharaoh in this strictly archetypal sense. But also in reality. God has to have God's fingers in lots of situations to bring things forth that remain. Anyway, what I wanted to get to about Pascal. Because we think of Descartes as, I think therefore I am. No! Pascal. I am. Therefore I think. Therefore I wonder. What am I, and from whence? Pascal's pensée. Pensées, pensée. Pascal's pensée is the mystery's answer to all of Cartesianism that we derive, despite Cartesianism's usefulness. And I myself, a lot of times when I'm harshing on Cartesianism, I'm just simply harshing on the XY plane. A lot of times when I say, because there's different aspects of Cartesianism, and almost all the time when I'm harshing on Cartesianism, I'm just harshing on the XY plane. Because the XY plane is considered in squares, and the only planes we know of in this world are hemispheric planes, which are twisted. Spiralic planes that are only, whether you could call them described or inscribed or scribed about, a toroidal sphere, in so much as we commonly know. A globe, the earth, the spinning of the earth, the equatorial plane. It's an equatorial plane. So are all planes equatorial? So far as we can observe in the universe, yes. Planes are equatorial, which means every plane is involved with a sphere or a toroid or a spheric toroid, a special case. Anyway, what I like about Descartes, because he created the first calculator, completely pragmatic. Pascal did not need a calculator because he could do those things up here. Incredibly pragmatic. It was a gift to the fucking world. If you use a spreadsheet, the father of spreadsheets was Pascal. That was the moment that the possibility of spreadsheets happened in the West, so to speak. He didn't do that for himself, even though he made a couple coins off it. But he did that as a gift to the world. And he wrote Pensées, which was published posthumously because he died young, as Descartes did. Yeah. Studying the two of them together is a great study. I don't have time for it. Maybe you do. I mean, to go much further than I'm going here. I'm laying breadcrumbs, man. Because I'm running as far as I can before I drop. As far as I can before I drop, you know. But I'm leaving pearls and diamonds amongst my shit. That's the story. So, Descartes was like abstract and useful in an abstract way. Pascal made something that was most practical for most people, made the most impact, a calculator. That's very useful. But he also, in his Pensées and other things, in Pensées, left the mystery, so people call him a Janist or this or that, whatever. Pascal was Pascal. Period. And what he left in Pensées, he didn't leave a crumb with Pensées. He left a rope. To the mystery. The Pascal mystery is Pascal's Pensées. Or should I say, Pascal's Pensées is one string in the braid of that rope, of the mystery that has been laid before us. Not just crumbs, but a braid, a rope. To now and to tomorrow. We blessed few who find that braid. It is not our duty to simply revel in the finding of the pragmatism and the truth that Pascal laid before us, nor to revel in the cold, austere, illogical, yet useful Cartesian